Battle of Midway, how America turned the tide in the Pacific Hook. The U.S. Pacific Fleet was shattered, outnumbered, and one mistake away from total collapse. Then a single cracked code turned a looming catastrophe into Japan's deadliest trap. It all began in June 1942, just 6 months after the devastating attack on Pearl Harbor. The Japanese Empire was aimed to strike again. They had just swept across Southeast Asia and the Pacific, capturing islands and naval bases almost unopposed. Their plan: destroy the remaining U.S. Pacific Fleet at Midway Atoll and dominate the Pacific Ocean. Success here would cripple America's ability to fight back for years. Japan's fleet was huge, but the Americans had something far more valuable than ships on paper: intelligence. U.S. Navy codebreakers had been working tirelessly for months and had cracked the Japanese naval codes. They knew where Japan planned to strike, how many ships they would deploy, and even the timing of the attack. In short, the U.S. knew the enemy's playbook before the game even began. That gave them the element of surprise. At the time, the U.S. was preparing for battle. From Midway and Hawaii, roughly 115 land-based planes were readied, and the Navy had only 3 aircraft carriers ready for battle: the USS Enterprise, USS Hornet, and the damaged USS Yorktown, which had barely survived the Battle of the Coral Sea. Against that thin deck of carriers stood Japan's powerful strike force. Japan had 4 massive carriers and some of the most experienced pilots in naval history. On paper, the odds were terrifying. Yet history has a way of proving that numbers alone don't win wars. June 4th, 1942. The showdown begins. At dawn, Japanese planes launched a massive attack on Midway. Their goal: destroy U.S. airfields and soften defenses for the carrier strike that would follow. American pilots scrambled, fighting to protect the atoll with every ounce of courage. Outnumbered 4-1, many of these men knew their chances of survival were slim. Planes went down in flames, air crews were lost, and the island shook under the bombardment. But Midway's runways remained mostly intact. Then came the American counterattack. When Japanese planes returned to their carriers to refuel and rearm, the U.S. pounced. From the escort carriers, a wave of dive bombers and torpedo planes thundered toward the Japanese fleet and struck with surgical precision. The results were catastrophic for Japan. By the end of the day, 3 carriers, Akagi, Kaga, and Soryu, were ablaze and sinking. Hours later, the 4th carrier, Hiryu, suffered the same fate. In less than a single day, Japan lost 4 of its frontline carriers, 320 aircraft, and 3,000 men. The U.S. losses were comparatively small. 1 carrier, Yorktown, later sunk, 1 destroyer, about 150 planes, and roughly 300 men. That night, Japan's dream of Pacific domination died under a sky full of smoke and fire. But the victory at Midway was more than just a battle. It was a turning point of the Pacific War. With its carriers gone, Japan lost not just ships, it lost mobility, air power, and ability to wage large-scale naval offensive. The balance of naval powers suddenly swung in America's favor. Japan gave up their idea to invade strategic Pacific islands such as New Caledonia, Fiji, and Samoa. Their aggression was halted. Since then, the initiative was transferred to allies. The U.S. Midway was a demonstration of a new form of war, one in which intelligence, aircraft carriers, and air superiority were more significant than battleships. It demonstrated that proper information could overcome immense odds with luck and courage. After the Battle of Midway, the Allies stopped just defending and started attacking. From then on, they moved forward island by island, launched new attacks, and gradually pushed toward Japan because they had gained confidence and momentum. So how did a smaller, seemingly weaker force pull off such a miracle? It boiled down to 3 critical factors that made Midway America's turning point. Intelligence and code breaking. U.S. cryptographers didn't just intercept messages, they decoded them. They knew Japan's fleet movements, allowing the Americans to set a trap instead of walking into one. Japan thought it was attacking a weakened army. Instead, it walked into the teeth of lethal readiness. Timing and surprise. Japanese pilots needed time to rearm on their carriers. That short window gave the Americans the perfect opportunity to strike decisively. This split-second timing was everything. risked courage and luck. The USS Yorktown, despite being damaged days earlier, returned to action after a miraculous repair job, played a pivotal role. Many thought it couldn't make it, but its air groups joined the fight and its planes struck hard, proving that even wounded ships could deliver game-changing blows. Despite the chaos, the U.S. made mistakes. Early torpedo attacks by American bombers failed almost completely, with huge losses among heroic air crews. Communication lines broke under pressure, and American attacks arrived in fragmented waves. Chaos reigned across the fleet. Midway was brutal and chaotic, but in the end, by fire, guts, and precision, it was enough. But the sacrifice was real. The cost was high, yet the strategic outcome was unmistakable. Japan's navy was crippled, and the path to Allied victory in the Pacific was unlocked. The effects were enormous. Japan lost its best pilots, 4 frontline carriers, and thousands of experienced sailors. Its plans for Pacific domination were derailed. America, on the other hand, had gained both momentum and confidence, and from Midway onward, the U.S. would go on the offensive. Midway proved that strategy beats brute force. The Americans didn't have the largest fleet or the most experienced pilots, but they outthought, outmaneuvered, and outtimed the enemy. This battle changed the rules of naval warfare. From that point, aircraft carriers, not battleships, became the dominant force at sea. In the aftermath, absolutely staggering. Japan could no longer strike offensively. America started its island hopping in the Pacific, conquering bases and disrupting the Japanese supply lines. Naval warfare would never be the same. Carriers, aircraft, and intelligence became the center of all the operations. But it is not just about planes and ships. Midway was a tale of human bravery as well. The courage that characterized the battle was illustrated by young pilots such as Ensign George Gay, who survived alone in the water after his squadron had been wiped out, or Lieutenant Commander Wade McCluskey, whose decisions made in the split of a second saved the day. Ordinary men did extraordinary things under fire, proving that heroism can tilt history. The battle also showcased the importance of preparation and innovation. U.S. forces had trained relentlessly, planned meticulously, and acted decisively. Even when things went wrong, they adapted, proving that flexibility in warfare is as vital as firepower. And it wasn't just carriers and pilots. Codebreakers, intelligence analysts, and even radio operators played critical roles. The battle shows that in modern warfare, information is power. Knowing what your enemy plans to do can be just as decisive as having more guns or bombs. Even today, Midway is studied in military academies worldwide as an example of strategy, courage, and calculated risk-taking. It's a classic David versus Goliath story, a smaller force taking on the seemingly invincible and winning through brains, bravery, and timing. Closing statement. Midway wasn't just a battle. It was the moment America took control of the Pacific. Strategy, intelligence, and courage flipped the tide and set the stage for Allied victory. A few carriers, a few planes, and a cracked code. That's all it took to rewrite history. If you want more stories about the moments that changed the world, dramatic, powerful, and real, hit like, subscribe, and stay tuned, because the next chapter in history might just surprise you.